We'll be lighting
Oh.
candles tonight.
Oh, okay.
You can light yours at home now if you want to.
All right.
Hello, everyone from Atlanta.
Hey there. I'm glad you were frozen a few minutes ago, so I'm glad you're not. Lashana Tova. Great to see you.
Nice to see all of you.
Fran and David.
Lashana Tova. Great to see you.
Nice to see all of you.
Fran and David.
So I keep making the music screen a little smaller so I can see more people.
Yeah. Tracy.
So I keep making the music screen a little smaller so I can see more people. Oh, Ella, are you there? Ella, there seems to be like a delay. If I talk, then it repeats it like a couple seconds later.
No.
No? Okay, so maybe I'm just the only one who's hearing that. All right.
Yeah, you sound good to me, Judy.
Okay, that's good. Because I could hear somebody talking and I was like, oh, that's me. So, but it was an echo.
Judy, you're hearing an echo because of your speaker.
Then I'll just shut that thing off. Thank you.
What happens is you're hearing what's coming through. Let me just get myself.
Judy, I fixed it. It was the YouTube that you heard from my laptop because I did share sound. You should not hear it anymore. I fixed it.
Mhm.
The YouTube is usually delayed by a few seconds.
It's nice to see this screen get filled up. That's great.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Tracy. How are you? And you? Fine, thank you. Where's Helene? I'm just going to say hello to Helene. I don't see her now.
Oh, yeah, she must have just left her chair for a moment, but her chair's there. She'll be back.
Hello.
For those of you who's wondering who Elsie Fetterman is, she's right. That's my mom. So if you wonder who is that person, she's coming back in a little bit.
Great photo.
Yeah, that's from our daughter's wedding 2 years ago. So that's mom.
I'm just giving it 1 minute for late stragglers. We have plenty of time. We're going to start with Mincha, but I just want to give everybody a chance. I've got to just create some hosts so that everyone know who knows who the host is. So Judy, I made the Cantor a host already.
This is such wonderful news. Do you feel like
Ella, can you please make Kathleen a host?
Rachel. I sent it to Laura.
So at this time, we're going to begin with the Mincha services prior to Yom Kippur. So we invite you to please turn to the back of your Machzor, page 431. And Mike, would you honor us, please, with the repeating after me? Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yalu chasela.
Chala, Shreyam Sharanai Lahav,
Tila leDavid, aramim chal hamelech, varvacha shimcha le'olam vahed.
Hayam Avroteka, Balashim Chalialam Baed,
Gadol Adonai mulal meod, v'ligdulato ein cheker.
Aladai Shabach Masecha, Versecha Yagidu,
Adar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha.
Jesus Nursach Yameru, Gilosaka, Saberu,
Zecha rabtucha yabiu, v'tzitchacha yiranenu.
Anun Brachu Maranoi, Erechapay Moldach Chosed,
Tov Adonai lakol, rachamav al kol maasav.
Ducharanoi Kol Masecha, Vachasidecha, Yabarachucha,
Kavod malchutcha yameru, ugvuratcha yedaberu.
Odea Lifnei Adam Geburotav, V'chol Chadam Alchuto,
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador.
Omecher Noil Fonofim, V'zokef L'chol HaKefufim,
Einei chol alechi yasaberu, v'tanaten lehem erochlam beito.
V'tech Yesh Yodecha, Mashpil Chol Charatzon,
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol maasav.
Rov Noil Chokrov, V'chol HaShepru V'emet,
Ritzon Yerav Yaseh, v'yet shavatam yishma v'yoshiem.
Meranoi Et Kol Haba, Et Kol Horshaim Yashmid,
Ilat Adonai yidaber pi, v'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam voed.
Anachnu Nevorech Ya, Me'atovi Ad Olam, Hallelujah.
For those who are able to rise comfortably, we encourage you to do so. L'chatzi Kaddish 432. Yikadal v'ikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yoma divrach erutevium lichmachotei, v'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, bagolav izman karivim ru amen. Yehei Rab mevorach olam amei amaya, yitbarach v'yistabach v'yitpoar v'yitramah v'naseh, v'yidadar v'yidaleh v'yidalal shmei d'kutsha b'richu.
Brichu.
Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran b'yalma v'imru. Amen. We join together page 433. The Kedusha will then follow page 434. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elokei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Hoel Hagadol Hagibor V'Norai El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Goal Livnei V'Neihem Lamat Shemo B'Yava Zachrenu L'Chaim Melech Chafetz B'Chaim V'Chatfeinu B'Sefer HaChaim L'Mancha Elohim Chaim Melech Choser Ufokei Moshiach Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ufokei Tzara Ata Gibor L'Olam Adonai Mechayim Itim Atarav L'Oshia Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Itim Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Matir Asurim Umkayim Uton Shnei Afar Mi Chamocha Bal Givorot Umido Melach Melach Memid Umchayim Matzmiach Yeshua Mi Chamocha V'Rachamim Zocher Yitzurav L'Chaim B'Rachamim V'Ne'eman Ata L'Chayot Meitim Baruch Ata Adonai Mechaye HaMeitim Nikadesh et Shimcha Ba'olam Kishem Shemakdishim Ata B'Shmeim Arom Kakatuv Hayad Nevi'acha V'Gorazeh El Zevi Amar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tod Melech Haaretz Kevodo L'Matam Baruch Yomeru Baruch Kavod Adonai Mim Komo Divrei Kodesh Katuv Le'mor Yimloch Adonai Le'olam L'Hayit Zion Ledor Vador Hallelujah Ledor Vador Negilecha Ulenetzach Netzachim Kedushacha Nakdish V'Shivcha Chalen U'Pinlim Mishlam Ved Ki El Melech Gadol V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh. Our personal prayers continue through page 441, the middle of the page. When you've completed your personal prayers in the Hebrew, the English, and in your heart, then you may be seated. For those who are still offering your personal prayers, we encourage you to continue to do so at your own pace. Let us read together our prayers on page 441. Let us read the top of the English together. And forgive us the breach of all commandments and prohibitions, whether involving deeds or not, whether known to us or not. The sins known to us we have acknowledged, and those unknown to us are surely known to you, as the Torah states. Secret matters are the concern of Adonai our God, but in matters that are revealed, it is for us and our children to apply all the teachings of the Torah till the end of time. At this time, Rena, would you please honor us with our personal prayers for the conclusion of the Amidah?
Thank you, Rabbi. Personal prayers concluding the Amidah. May God keep my tongue from evil, my lips from lies. Help me ignore those who would slander me. Let me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. Frustrate the designs of those who plot evil against me. Make nothing of their schemes. Act for the sake of your name, your power, your holiness, and your Torah. Answer my prayer for the deliverance of your people. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who brings peace to the universe bring peace to us and to all the people Israel and to all who dwell on earth. Amen.
Amen. Let us join together in our personal prayers for peace for our world. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru. Amen. For those who are able, we invite you to kindly rise as we join together in the Kaddish Shalem. Yikra v'gira shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayir chol beit Yisrael b'agolav izman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Alomeo Maya, Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itpar v'chuma v'naseh v'idadar v'idaleh v'lal shemei d'kudesh.
Rihu.
Leila, Leila, Mikol, Birchata, V'shirata, Tishchata, V'nechmata, Damiran, Balma, V'yimeru.
Amen.
Tigal, Ba'al, Tzlot, Hona, V'rondocho, Yisrael, Kanon, Shmaya, V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh, Shalom, B'imromav, Hu Yaseh, Shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
We join together in the Aleinu, page 442. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latekiru laliotzer breshit, shelo asanu kagoye aratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot adama, shelo samchakenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umistachavim umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shena Shamayim Yosed Haaretz. kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, ushemo echad. You may be seated in solemn testimony to that unbroken faith, which links the generations one to another. Let those who mourn now rise to magnify and sanctify Adonai's holy name. Page 443. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabbah. V'omad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyamechon u'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagola uvizman kari vimru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam leome omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekutsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the memory of our loved ones always be an eternal blessing to us all, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated. And now at this time, I'm going to invite everyone to please rise as our president, Judy Engel, will now light the Yom Tov candles for us.
Thank you, Rabbi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chad l'fnei shel Yom HaPurim.
Judy, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'll talk louder. I can do that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chad l'fnei shel Yom HaPurim. Is that good?
Yes,
Okay, great.
and Shechianu.
And Shekianu, thank you for reminding me. I was just so glad that I got one done and done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehekianu v'higimanu higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Amen.
Let us all take a moment to wish each other a Shana Tova. You may be seated. We'll take one moment to do that.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Shana Tova.
Bye, everyone.
Shana Tova.
Shana
Shana
Tova,
Tova, everyone.
everyone.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, Meryl, and
Hi.
everybody else, of course, too, but I get my screen time later, so.
So at this time,
Rabbi, you look different.
yeah, that's my wife. I apologize. Isn't that nice to see my wife present with us? So at
Yeah.
this time, we have a technical difficulty on my end, so I'm trying to repair it while I'm doing everything else at the same time. So at this time, I see there are some children present in the room. So you can be young, you can be old. So at this time, if there is a member of our family who is present with us at this time, who is younger, let us offer a blessing on their behalf. So I see Rena, you have someone with you, yes?
Have the blessing of the church.
Eric, he's the physical therapist that lives in the neighborhood, and he's always here with us for Yom Kippur. He's just
It's nice to have the physical therapist with us. Is there any other? Then I don't see any children. Good. So let's just take one brief moment, because normally I would say a blessing on the children, but many of us have the opportunity now, just for 5 minutes, to just share.
We have a child.
Oh, wait, Steve, you have a
You have
child.
a child. I have a child.
Yes, we do. So we're going to invite you. We're going to invite you to place your hand on the head
Okay.
of your daughter or on her shoulder. You can take your pick. And repeat after me the traditional words of blessing. Yesimech
Yesimech,
Elohim
Elohim,
Kesara
Sarah,
Rivka
Rivka,
Rachel
Rachel,
Leah.
Leah.
May God bless you as he blessed Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and let us say amen. Did I see Hinda and Elliot there?
Yes.
You did.
Well, Hinda and Elliot, Rachel, just so you know, they were putting their hand on their niece's shoulder at the same time saying it. You just didn't realize
I didn't realize it. That's really nice.
that they were doing it at the same time. So, Rachel, you've got the blessing of your aunt and your uncle saying the blessing for you at the same moment. So we promised that we would start Kol Nidre at 6:30. So we're going to just take one moment, allow everyone just to relax for 2 seconds. We have 4 minutes. We're going to allow you to chat for a moment between each other. And then we'll come back together in just 4 minutes' time.
While we're waiting, can I do a sound check? Make sure everyone can hear me okay?
I hear you very well, Cantor. Very
Good,
well.
Good, thank you.
Happy New Year, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
It is now 6:30, and let us join together in our Kol Nidre service. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Good. So at this time, let us join together for our Kol Nidre service. We invite you now to please turn in your machzor, and let us rise and turn to page 204 as we open the Aron and begin our service. First, we will show to you our presidents holding the Sifrei Torah, and then we will join together in the Kol Nidre.
Or zaru ala tzadi, o yishre lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadi, o yishre lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadi, o yishre lev simcha.
Can't hear you, Rabbi.
As we continue, let us join together B'Shiva Shalmala.
Bishiva shamata, Bishiva shamata, al dat hamakom, ve'al dat hakahal, anu matirin litvaler, im avarayim.
By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. We join together Kol Nidre, page 205.
Kol nidre ve'asare ve'acharame ve'kolame ve'chinuye ve'kinusay u'shvu Vedi asarna al nafshatana miyom kippurim zeh al yom kippurim haba Hallelu letova hulahon yicharat navahon hulahon yahon sheran shevikim Shevivim Betelim Umvutalim Laishiri Vela Kayami Nidarana La Nidar Vasara Na La Esare Ushavuat Hana La Shavuot.
Please join with me. All vows, renunciations, bans, oaths, formulas of obligation, pledges, and promises that we vow or promise to ourselves and to God from this Yom Kippur to the next. May it approach us for good. We hereby retract. May they all be undone, repealed, canceled, voided, annulled, and regarded as neither valid nor binding. Our vows shall not be considered vows. Our renunciations shall not be considered renunciations. And our promises shall not be considered promises.
O Nidre Vesare Vaharame Vekorame Vechinoe Vechinose Ushavu Indala Ishtabana Harimna Vedasarna Nafshatana Miyam Kippurim Ayom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letova Kulon Irarat Na Vahu Kulon Yon Sharon Shaviki Shaviti Vatelin Umavutali La Shariri Vela Kayami Nirana La Nire Vasarana La Esare Shavuot La Shavuot Vesare Vaharame Vekolame Vechinoye Vekinose Ushvo Din Dalo Reish Tabalo Re'aimena Vedasarna Navshatana Miyom Kippurim on Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Aleinu Letova Kulahon Igad Navahon Kulahon Yahan Sharam Shaviki Shaviti Vatelinum votalim La Shariri Vela Gayamin Neither Allah, neither Vesaran Allah, Vesare Ushvuatana La Shvuot V'nislach lechodat B'nei Yisrael V'agar b'tocham Ki lechoram Bishgaga Bishgaga V'nislach lechol Adon b'nei Yisrael V'agar Hagar b'tocham Ki lechoram Bishgaga, Bishgaga, V'nislach lechoradat B'nei Yisrael V'lager b'tocham Ki lechoram Bishgaga, Bishgaga.
The entire congregation of the peaceful Israel shall be forgiven, as well as the stranger who dwells among them, for all have erred.
שלחנה לרבון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר Vayomer Adonai, Salachti Kivarecha. Vayomer Adonai, Salachti Kivarecha. Vayomer Adonai, Salachti Kivarecha. Salachti Kivarecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sheheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiranu Razaman Hazeh.
Amen. You may be seated. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you a person who has really been working hard since she took over from Kathleen in continuing the legacy of the presidents before her and ensuring that our congregation will continue to thrive as it has throughout the many generations. She has made it her responsibility to ensure that we all feel connected to our community and that we feel connected to each other. She had a great teacher, Kathleen. And now in that same modality, as many of you saw this afternoon and this morning when we went to pick up our packages at Temple Emmanuel for breaking the fast, she personally is hands-on in all that she does. It's my pleasure to introduce our president, Judy Engel.
Good evening and Lashana Tova. Most of you know me, but those who don't, my name is Judy Engel, and I am president of your congregation. I take this position very seriously, and I'm honored to speak to you on this special occasion. Kol Nidre sets the mood for the Day of Atonement when we ask for forgiveness from those we have hurt, wronged, or sinned against. Readings state that it also means it's time to get serious, so we don't miss the Day of Atonement and ask God to be instilled in the Book of Life. Thus, I have set the tone for this somber and all-important holiday. Now, there are two things you should know about me. One is that I'm an optimist, and I believe in the self-fulfilling prophecy. A self-fulfilling prophecy is the phenomenon of someone predicting or expecting something, and this prediction or expectation coming true simply because the person believes it will. The person's resulting behaviors align to fulfill the belief. In other words, if one thinks that they can accomplish a task, then it will probably happen. You're wondering, what does this have to do with me? Well, we have wonderful opportunities right before us. That's my optimist talking. We have a wonderful rabbi, we have thrived during the pandemic, and our future is bright. Our congregation can continue to thrive, but only with your assistance and participation. However, I have to address a major obstacle that we must overcome. It is gossip. for those who participate or even listen to gossip are harming my vision for Congregation Bethel. I urge you to contact me when you hear something that you believe to be true. I ask each of you to please turn away when someone says, "I heard." These words start the telephone game, and that is how misinformation is spread. You might feel that this is innocent, but it is far-reaching. I have even been at the end of the telephone game when the gossip was about me with incorrect information. I know the hurt of the game. I'll tell you a short story to give you a proper perspective of this immense problem. You may have heard this one, but I'll tell it anyway to benefit those who haven't heard it and to illustrate my point. I'll use the male pronoun, but be assured this is an equal opportunity problem. So, there's a man who realizes that he has gossiped and goes to his rabbi to ask how to fix the problem. The rabbi tells him to purchase a feather pillow, take it to the center of town, cut it open, and shake all the feathers out. Then he's instructed by the rabbi to collect all the feathers. They can never all be collected, just as a rumor can never be recalled. Rumors will only obstruct my vision, which I assume you share. Please help me to continue to be an optimist and to continue my self-fulfilling prophecy. Only you can control the future of Congregation Bethel. Gossip will certainly destroy it. Now that I've addressed the main issue that has been stealing my focus away from my role as your president, I have one more request. Please say yes when you're asked to assist with something at our temple or to serve on a board or a committee. Congregation Bethel is whatever you make it. Please say yes when called upon to help. Lashana Tova. It worked.
Judy, thank you for your very special message on this Yom Kippur, especially because that is one of the sins that our tradition speaks about and reminds us that that's the first step in improving ourselves during this year. So at this time, we begin with our Marav service. And in advance, even though you've already served so beautifully from all of the congregation, thank you. Thank you to the executive board. Thank you to the board of directors. And thank you to the volunteers and to our professional staff for everything you do for us day in and day out throughout the year. And now we invite you to please rise and turn to page 207 as we join together in the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Revorach Leolam Vahed.
Amen. You may be seated on the bottom left-hand side of the page. Let us join together a community.
Thank you, Rabbi. Community. We begin this service amidst our community. Rabbi Chaim of Sants used to tell this parable. A man wandering lost in the forest for several days finally encountered another. He called out, "Brother, show me the way of this forest." The man replied, "Brother, I too am lost. I can only tell you this. The ways I have tried led nowhere. They have only led me astray. Take my hand and let us search for the way together. Rabbi Chaim would add, so it is with us. When we go our separate ways, we may go astray. Let us join hands and look for the way together. A Hasidic tale.
ומעביר יום מביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אחד וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב רבים. אהבת עולם בישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושוכננו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הן חיינו ואורך ימינו בהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen.
שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
And now on page 208, the left-hand side of the page, we join together Shema, a declaration of faith.
Loving life in its mysterious source with all our heart and all our spirit, all our senses and strength, we take upon ourselves and into ourselves these promises: to care for the earth and those who live upon it, to pursue justice and peace, to love kindness and compassion. We will teach this to our children throughout the passage of the day, as we dwell in our homes and as we go on our journeys, from the time we rise until we fall asleep. and may our actions be faithful to our words, that our children's children may live to know truth and kindness have embraced, peace and justice have kissed, and are one.
Let us read either in the Hebrew or the English silently the top paragraph, page 209. We join together the middle paragraph, page 209.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי רגליהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף תהיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, amen.
And now if you would kindly turn to page 210. Kathleen, would you honor us, please, with the redemption interpretive reading on the left-hand side of the page?
Yes, thank you, Rabbi. Once more, Atonement Day has come, all pretense gone, naked heart revealed to the hiding self. We stand on holy ground between the day that was and the one that must be. We tremble. Will the errors in our past teach us to walk in straighter paths? May we still dream of a time when love and truth shall meet, justice and peace shall embrace. Hope of Israel, in our weakness, give us strength. In our blindness, be our guide. When we falter, hold our hand. Make consistent our impulse for good. Let us know the joy of walking in your ways as the children of Israel once were able to do at the sea. May we sing like them. Michamocha Be'el Elim, who is like you among the mighty.
We continue Malchuto, the middle of the page.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך בנים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר לקודש, ראו ונחה בוקר ים לפני משה, זה אלי רנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לגולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאל לא מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amen. And now on page 211, we join together peace in the night.
Peace in the night. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken again to life, our sovereign.
Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name.
Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilent swords, starvation and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us.
Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign, merciful, and compassionate.
Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever.
May you spread over us your canopy of peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us and over all the people, Israel, and over Jerusalem.
We continue the bottom of page 211, Ufros Aleinu.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Amen. Please rise. We join together page 212. For on this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your transgressions. In the presence of Adonai, you shall be pure.
כביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ועמד ברכיותיה וימליך מלכותיה וחייכון וביום אחרון וחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מברך לגלם כל עלמי המיה יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויטובה ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמלכותו בריחו לעילא לעילא מכל וחטא ושירתה ושמחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמא וגילו אמן.
Our personal prayers begin on page 213. They continue through page 221. When you've completed your personal prayers in the Hebrew, the English, and in your hearts, then you may be seated. Let me take this opportunity to wish you all a Shana Tova Umituka, a happy, a healthy, and a sweet new year. And may you be signed and sealed into the book of life. A little Yiddle from Manchester, England, invariably would go to Israel before Rosh Hashanah each year. He was an Orthodox Jew, an observant Jew. He had all the necessary baggage with him, his talit, his tefillin, and he goes to the London airport, and seated next to him on the plane is a fellow Jew. Who else would go to Israel before the holy days? They have a conversation and they get along wonderfully. If you've ever flown to Israel, you know that inevitably people will go to the back of the plane at the appropriate time and pray together in a minyan. So it comes time on this flight, and it's time for Shacharit, the morning services. And our observant Jew takes out his tefillin and he puts them on. And he notices that his newfound friend doesn't put on tefillin, and he doesn't pray. Being a person who does not impose his wishes upon others, but being a Jew, he says to the man, "You're going to Eretz Yisrael for the holidays. Would you like to borrow my tefillin?" It's none of your business. That's the answer. "I'm sorry," says the Yiddle. "I didn't mean to offend you. Besides," he said, "I burned my tefillin in Auschwitz. As our train arrived at the death camp, the SS officer sent me to the right. The youngest of my children was directed to the left. I don't need tefillin. I said goodbye to God." They meet during the week, and the little Yiddle says, "By the way, I don't mean to impose my ideas upon you. I'm just very curious why you come to Eretz Yisrael and why you come specifically during this time of year." "These are my people. Maybe he's not my God, but these are my people." Our religious Jew is pained by this conversation, not because there is a Jew who's not observing, but because of the pain that his fellow Jew has been experiencing for 40 some odd years. Yom Kippur comes and the Yiddle has forgotten his conversation. He goes to shul. The break comes and Jews of this particular shul pile out onto the street in Jerusalem, and he's looking. Something tells him he must see the other Jew because he didn't see him in shul. On the bench across the street from the shul, our Jew from London who has no God is eating lunch. So he goes over to him and says, "Look, if you want to eat on Yom Kippur, that's your business. You know something? There's something wrong with you. You know what's wrong with you? All these years you've been crying about your lost son. Isn't it time you said a prayer for him? Even to the God that you don't believe in. Your son deserves an El Malei Rachamim." The little Yiddle caught him right where it hurts, in his heart. Do you think we could? Do you think we could go into a shul and say the prayer? And the little Yidel responds, come with me. Come inside the shul. I know this chazan. He's such a wonderful chazan. We'll go over to him. They walk over to him, and he says to the cantor, Chazan, I'm wondering if you could do a special mitzvah. This gentleman lost his son many years ago, 40 some odd years ago, and he wants to make a male. Why, of course, said the Chazan. What was your son's name? He says, my son's name was Pinchas ben Shlomo. Okay? The Chazan is about to start. He sings the Amalei Rachamim, and he stops. And he turns to that man and he says, what was his name? And he turns and says, Pinchas ben Shlomo. The Chazan looks at the man, he pauses, and he nearly faints on the spot. He cries, Tata, Father, I've been looking for you. Imagine, every year this man came to Israel, and he came to Israel because the people were his people. But the God was not his God. He had long abandoned God, just as God abandoned him. I'm not certain that there is any one of us who do not understand this man's rationale. His story was no different than so many others. Yet his story is different. He came to Jerusalem every year around Rosh Hashanah, just as we come to synagogue on the high holy days, because he still felt that kinship to his people. And why did he sit out the great synagogue on Yom Kippur? I believe that he hadn't given up on God, but that he couldn't face God or himself. He needed the compassion, the kindness of another to have him fulfill an obligation, to recite a prayer for his son. But he wasn't sure anymore what to say or how to say it. He needed someone to invite him to return into the synagogue, if not for himself, then for his son. For years, he sat outside and watched the people walk in and out of shul. He heard the familiar davening, the spiritual prayer of the people, the chanting of the Kol Nidrei, as the beautiful, heart-wrenching melody crept out of the open doors and windows onto the street of Jerusalem. And he wanted to hear it. But it took one other soul, one other caring soul to bring this man to find inside the synagogue what had been the focus of his life from the outside. Tonight, we've accepted that same invitation. We have chosen to join together virtually to hear the words of Kol Nidrei because there's something that calls us. And we have listened and we have responded. In many ways, we are like Abraham who heard the call of God, and we too have responded. Hineni, here I am. But what is it that we're responding to? For the moment, I would like to reject the theory as proposed by our Mahsor. Remember it just for a moment. I will return to this thought a little bit later. What is that theory? We have come here on this evening because we have sinned and because we need to repent. Just perhaps we've become too logical to believe that. When we log out of this service, we will be cleansed from our misdeeds during this past year. Little difficult to really believe. It might be even heretical that I'm saying that, perhaps. But logically, since the Shoah, we have rejected that theory. We've had to look at God differently if we're able to believe in him, despite the Shoah. We have learned that Adonai is a caring and compassionate God. He could not change the world so that the man's son wasn't forced to go to the left at Auschwitz. That was man's responsibility. But he could reunite father and son through the compassion of one mensch. I'd like to suggest to you a different theory today, rather than the one our Mahzor suggests. Here's the other theory. It's called fossil memory. Perhaps it's what's called us here tonight. What is fossil memory? The basic assumption of this concept is that one can feel at home in any place where one's genes with a G had been before. So that if our parents or ancestors had a connection to some place, any place in the world, we would automatically sense that connection with our ancestors if we visit there. If, for example, our family was from Latvia or Germany and we visited there, we would automatically feel a connection to our roots. We would be sensing our family's presence there because we would connect through fossil memory that we have with an ancestor. A cousin sent me an article that appeared just a few months ago in the JTA, the Jewish Telegraphic Association online paper. And it brought that theory home. The article was about Jews from Northern Ontario. The reporter went to visit a cemetery in a town called Krugersdorf, Ontario, the most northern Jewish cemetery in the province. That town is where my father was born. It was where his parents were sent to help lay the tracks for the railroad while living and working in a one-room farmhouse with almost as many children as the old lady who lived in a shoe. Then they moved to Ansonville, where they were part of a small Jewish community that established a shul and a home. Several years ago, the town renamed the street Synagogue Street to honor the Jewish presence and their role in the community. On the back of my dad's memorial stone in Toronto, my mom had engraved his birthplace, Krugersdorf. Whenever I see that stone, fossil memory. Whenever I hear about Synagogue Street, Ansonville, or Krugersdorf, that fossil memory kicks in. I never lived there. I only visited a few times in my younger years. But it still has that same resonance that so many of us have when we return to visit our family roots in many parts of Europe and here in America. We still sense the presence of our ancestors' Jewishness. What is the fossil memory that brought the Holocaust survivor to Jerusalem every day on this day of Yom Kippur of every year? Could he sense the generations past from outside the building? Could he find a spiritual connection to his lost son? Could that be the same for our being here today? It is our fossil memory that unites us today. Are we at this moment connecting with previous generations who have heard the Kol Nidre prayer? And are we sensing the need for that comfort in our lives at this moment as we are virtually together as a congregation? We might not know the words, but we can sense the sensitivity of the melody. And when we do, we hear the voices that connect us to previous generations. Can we feel at home through our fossil memory? Is it fossil memory that allows us to feel a presence in shul while we are joined together virtually? Perhaps our fossil memory is experienced through the melody of our prayers. The familiar tunes make us feel at home and connect us back to the same service, whether it be in downtown New London, in any generation or any period of Jewish history. It would not be difficult to sense Moses at this moment around Yom Kippur receiving the second set of the Ten Commandments carved into the stone on Mount Sinai. It wouldn't be hard to connect with Abraham on the Holy Temple Mount in Jerusalem, preparing to sacrifice his son as part of the religious rite. And it wouldn't be hard at this moment to imagine Jewish people standing right now in front of the Kotel, the Western Wall, and spiritually connecting together with them in Yerushalayim. And I'm certain that even though we have never met that little Yiddish from Manchester, England, we will think of him and connect with him and his story the next time, God willing, we have the opportunity to visit the great synagogue in Jerusalem at the end of this pandemic. Fossil memory connects us. It provides us with that spiritual memory, and that feeling becomes more than just an emotion. In some ways, it's a tangible connection. Think about it this way. You almost always feel at home, even in a virtual synagogue you enter into. Not just when you hear Kol Nidre this evening, but when you hear Adon Olam or Aleinu and the singing of Oseh Shalom. Fossil memory is the chicken soup with kreplach that my mother used to make before Yom Kippur each and every year, and the apples dipped with honey that we eat in our homes. It is the remembering what it was like when we were growing up in our parents' and grandparents' home. I hope we share that same feeling. Then again, how can we not accept the truth in the words? Umipnei chataenu. It's because of our sins that we joined virtually this Kol Nidre evening. It's our standing up to be proud of our religious expression. And that wherever Jews are tonight, we are all joined together through the words and the melody of Kol Nidre. And perhaps the call of the Kol Nidre and the Alchei prayer is our own personal call to understand our own less than perfection in a world that seeks perfection. Dear God, I'm here tonight because my sin might just be that I'm seeking perfection, and that is just not possible. Could that not be the true meaning of Kol Nidre? I am who I am. And today, let me accept that reality. Yom Kippur allows me to continue to value the concept of that through Cheshbon HaNefesh, not only an accounting of my soul, but how have I not only adjusted my ways, but how I accept who I am, foibles and all. The Alchei prayer might be more than simply a prayer requesting forgiveness, but actually just accepting ourselves just as we are. And with every Alchei and the clapping of our chest, we are opening our hearts to accept that reality. At the same time, it also provides us with a thought that perhaps we can find the way to make some adjustments. And just as God states about himself at the burning bush, we too can say, Hayeh asher hayeh. I will be only what I can be, nothing more and nothing less. I'm just who I am, no pretensions. Perhaps our machzor might just provide us with the right message, and it does so through the melodies of our fossil memory. Lashana Tova Tikatevu. Through the memories that we have of our loved ones of past, through our connection with them, and finding ourselves as we did with them when we were younger. May this truly be a year of l'chaim, of chayim, of life, of happiness, of health, of satisfaction, and of good fortune. And let us say, Amen. And now we invite you to please rise and turn to page 223. As we join together in the Ya'aleh, we begin with the first two paragraphs in English.
Ya'aleh ויבוא שברתנו מבוקר ויערירוננו על הארץ. קולנו מערב ויבוא שצדקתנו מבוקר וירא פדיוננו על הארץ.
The Ark is now opened by Barbara Lewis. We join together in the English. May our supplications rise up at evening. Our pleas arrive with the dawn. Our songs transform the dust. May our voices rise up at evening. Our righteous acts arrive with the dawn. Our redemption transform the dusk. May our suffering rise up at evening. Our forgiveness arrive with the dawn. Our purity transforms the dusk. May our prayers rise up at evening, coming to you with the dawn, transforming us at dusk. Kindly turn to page 225, Haneshama Lach. You may be seated.
הנשמה הלך והגוף העולך עושה המלך. הנשמה הלך והגוף שך אדוני עשה למען שמך אתה לא על שמך אדוני עשה למען שמך בעבור כבוד שמך כי אלון ורחום שמך למען שמך אדוני וסלחת לעווננו כי אהבהו. דרכך אלוהינו להרוך אפיך לרעים ולטובים ותהילתך למענך אלוהינו עשה ולא לנו. ראה אמינתנו דנים ריקים. העלה ארוחה Aleluia. Tinachel afar vaefer. Tashlich chatainu v'tachon v'magasacha. Tera ki enish asegim hanut tzedaka. El chapayim ata. תעבור הפשע בדמך עשן, כיום ויתייצב במושן, תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב, ממנו מאמר, כיום יקרא בשם אדוני.
We continue the middle of page 226.
ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים. נעשה עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקה, וסלחת לעווננו חטאותינו ונחתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
One of the beautiful piyutim of Yom Kippur are the words Ki hine kachomer biyad hayotzer. Let us read it responsively, page 227.
As clay in the hand of the potter, who thickens or thins it at will, so are we in your hand, guardian of love. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As stone in the hand of the mason who preserves or breaks it at will, so are we in your hand, God of life and death. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As iron in the hand of the blacksmith who forges or withdraws it at will, so are we in your hand, support of the poor. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As the helm in the hand of the sailor who holds the course or abandons it at will, so are we in your hand, good and forgiving God. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As glass in the hand of the glazier who shapes or melts it at will, so are we in your hand, pardoner of sin and transgression. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As cloth in the hand of the draper who drapes or twists it at will, so are we in your hand, righteous God. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As silver in the hand of the smelter who alloys or refines it at will, so are we in your hand, healer of wounds. Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
Thank you. We invite you to kindly turn to page 233 as Helene Lamchick opens the Aron. Shema Kolenu, dear God, hear our voice. Be kind and compassionate to us. Accept our prayers, dear God, on this Yom Kippur.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chos v'rachem aleinu v'kabel b'rachamim v'ratzon et tefilateinu.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu. Chos v'rachem aleinu. V'kabel b'rachamim v'ratzon et filateinu.
Ashivenu Lecha v'lashuva Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Kekadem. Ashivenu Chadesh Yameinu Kekadem. Al tashlichenu milefanecha veroch kodshecha al tikach mimenu. Tashlichenu milefanecha veroch kodshecha al tikach mimenu. Al tashlichenu l'eret zikna kichlov kochenu al ta'azvenu. Al tashlichenu l'eret zikna kichlov kochenu al ta'azvenu.
We continue page 234. Just so you know, the choir behind the Chazan is his family. It's Beth and Gavi. We're glad they're singing, so I've decided not to allow them, for us to at least experience the Cantor's family just a little bit. Page 234 is Sam and David Alperin open the Aron Kianu Amecha.
Eloheinu v'avoteinu v'imotenu, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. Ki anu amecha v'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha v'ata avinu. Anu avadecha v'ata Adonenu, anu kehalecha v'ata chalkenu, anu nachlatecha v'ata goralenu, anu tzonecha v'ata ra'enu, anu charmlecha v'ata notarenu, anu v'alatecha v'ata yotzerenu, anu ra'yatecha v'ata dodenu, anu segulatecha v'ata kerovenu, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו.
And now you may be seated. We invite you to kindly join together with us for a moment, just to think about ourselves, our own personal lives. What has happened in our personal lives this past year? The good, the challenges, how we've been together for other people, and how others have been there for us. Isn't that what Anu Amecha means? We are your people, a nation. Anu Vanecha, we are brothers, not as brothers, but as brothers of a community that join together. As Re'im, as it says, as those who are neighbors with each other, who understand each other. So as we pause, let us reflect and let us think for a moment about what that means for each and every one of us. So at this time, as we do that, let us now join together to reflect upon the challenges, not as challenges, but as opportunities. Ashamnu, page 235, please rise.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Ha'avinu, Behir Sha'nu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Kafalnu Sheker. Ay, 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 Yahatznu Ra, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Miatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Hasha'nu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref, Rasha'nu, Shihatnu, Ta'ivnu, Ta'inu, Titanu, Sarnu mitzvotecha mishpatecha tovim velo shavalanu ve'ata tzadik al kol haba aleinu ki emet asida ve'anachnu hirshadnu.
You may be seated. If you'd kindly turn to page 236, all our secrets on the left-hand side of the page. Myrna, would you honor us, please, in reading all our secrets?
Oh. Thank you, Rabbi. All our secrets are known to you, Adonai. We cannot even fool ourselves. Lying is a vain exercise. Help us not even to try. How could we deceive you within us, at once forming and knowing our most secret thoughts? We live in a world of illusion. We each think we are separate, alone, cut off, misunderstood, unwanted. We forget we are part of your glory. Each of us is a unique ray of your light. As we live our lives, rent asunder, each in our own small world, help us to remember what we often forget. We need one another. We each are part of the other. And in some place so well known, yet so secret, we may find our true solace in you.
Thank you.
אתה יודע רזי עולם ואת החלומות סדרי כוחי אתה חופש כוחד ובטן ובכן כליות ועלה אין דבר נעלם ממך ואין נסתר מנגד עיניך ובכן ולי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו שתסלח לנו שתסלח לנו על כל חטאותינו ותמחה לנו על כל עוונותינו ותכפר לנו על כל פשענו.
And now we invite you to please rise as Ella Sackett opens the Aron as we join together Al Chet.
על חטא שחטא לבניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטא לבניך באימוץ הלב.
Judy, will you kindly serve, Judy Engel, would you kindly serve as the responsive with me as we join together in the English? We have sinned against you unwillingly and willingly.
And we have sinned against you through hardening our hearts.
We have sinned against you thoughtlessly.
And we have sinned against you in idle chatter.
We have sinned against you through sexual immorality.
And we have sinned against you openly and in private.
We have sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully.
And we have sinned against you by the way we talk.
We have sinned against you by defrauding others.
And we have sinned against you in our innermost thoughts.
We have sinned against you through forbidden trysts.
And we have sinned against you through empty confession.
We have sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers.
And we have sinned against you purposely and by mistake.
We have sinned against you by resorting to violence.
And we have sinned against you by public desecration of your name.
We have sinned against you through foul speech.
And we have sinned against you through foolish talk.
We have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil.
And we have sinned against you wittingly and unwittingly.
For all these things, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
אחרי שחטאנו בך ביצר הרע, ואחרי שחטאנו בך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. אחרי שחטאנו בך וכך שוב חזב, ואחרי שחטאנו בך וכפת שוחד.
We have sinned against you through denial and deceit. Judy?
There we go. I'm sorry. And we have sinned against you by taking bribes.
We have sinned against you by clever cynicism.
And we have sinned against you by speaking ill of others.
We have sinned against you by the way we do business.
And we have sinned against you in our eating and drinking.
We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest.
And we have sinned against you through arrogance.
We have sinned against you in everyday conversation.
And we have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances.
We've sinned against you through condescension.
And we have sinned against you through stubbornness.
For all these sins, forgive God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
על חטא שחטאנו בך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטאנו בך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
We have sinned against you. We have sinned against you by throwing off all restraint.
And we have sinned against you by rashly judging others.
We have sinned against you by plotting against others.
And we have sinned against you through selfishness.
We have sinned against you through superficiality.
And we have sinned against you through stubbornness.
We've sinned against you by rushing to do evil.
And we have sinned against you through gossip.
And feathers. We have sinned against you through empty promises.
And we have sinned against you through baseless hatred.
We have sinned against you by betraying trust.
And we have sinned against you by succumbing to confusion.
For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
בתשומת יד, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך, ותמחון לב על לבב, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
Please remain standing and turn to page 244 as Boris and Alla Nalabotsky open the Aron as we join together Avinu Malkeinu.
Page 243. Avinu Malkeinu Hatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu Elanu Melech Elata. Avinu Malkeinu Chasech Imanu Lemachan Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu Batel Aleinu Kol Gzerot Kashut. Avinu Malkeinu
מגן מחייב בשערינו וחתנינו בנגד עיניך.
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לכל עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לכל עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר זכויות. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
שמע קולנו חוסכם לבוא. אבינו מלכנו, למען באי וישוב המים על קידוש שמך, אבינו מלכנו למענך, אם לא למעננו. We continue, page 244, the top of the page.
אבינו מלכנו, עשה למענך, אם לא למעננו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו וחננו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו וחננו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו וחננו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו וחננו, כי אין בנו מעשים.
We continue, page 245, Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמרבה ועל מדי פרח קירותי ימליך מלכותך וחייכון ויום יכול וחייך בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויראו אמן יהי שמרבה לברה לעולם ולעמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמלך כל שבריחו לעילה לעילה מכל בחתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה שמיען בעלמה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בחנה ונאמרו אמן תפתחה צלון דעות ובעל דעות לכל ישראל כל המבון ובשמיה דאמרו אמן יש למן רבה ושביה בחיים בחיים על עלינו, עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו
Cantor Cone to Beth and to Gavi. Toda Rabbah. Thank you. It's wonderful to have a choir such as you. Cantor, we're going to give you a break for a second.
Okay.
And we're going to ask Sue and Stuart to lead us in the Aleinu for this day.
Okay, go ahead. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol lateit gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהונות השמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרא בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומי הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד כי אנחנו שלחי ולנעתים לך לכבוד ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
You may be seated. And now at this time, in solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, let those who mourn now rise to magnify and sanctify Adonai's holy name, page 247. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei rabbah, v'olma divrach hirutei b'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agola v'zman kori v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam le'olmei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekucha brichu. Le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the memory of our loved ones always be an eternal blessing. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. At this time, if you'd kindly turn to page 248, the Psalm for the season of repentance. One thing I ask of Adonai, this I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. If only I could trust that I would see God's goodness in the land of the living. I pray so. For all of us, we place our hope in you, Adonai. Let us be strong. Let us take courage and place our hope in Adonai. At this time,
לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, כזה אדוני, חזק יאמץ ליבך, וכזה אל אדוני.
At this time, I invite our president, Judy Engel, to share with us the announcements on this day.
Okay. I have a lot of thank yous. Everybody knows, of course, what they contributed. Bruce, I want to thank you for making us all look great on with all those photographs in front of the ark. And of course, Rabbi, wonderful service tonight, wonderful sermon. And Cantor Cohn, we got a special treat with your family singing too. So I was looking like, who am I supposed to mute? And I realized very quickly that it was appropriate. Mela and Meryl and Ella, it's been a long day.
That's good. That's good, Mela. I'm going to call them that from now on.
It's for helping to keep me on track and also to help to keep our congregation on track and communications all the time. To our crew that took care of the high holiday honors, Seema, Lenny, and Sandy, fantastic. And services tomorrow, of course, at 9:30. All the other services, look at the schedule that you got in the email. And I'm not going to read those all to you. And for those of you who registered for the picnic, the membership picnic on the 19th, I look forward to seeing you then. It's from 4 to 7 at Waterford Beach Park. And then I know that you already got this as well. On the 26th, there has been a change in venue. We will be having pizza in the sukkah, but it will be at Rabbi Kadekel's instead of at Temple Emmanuel. It is important that the first 40 people who register will be in attendance. We don't have a huge venue, so we have to limit it in size. But there'll be other events as well, I promise you, that another 40 people hopefully will be able to attend. So thank you to everyone for zooming in tonight and for really providing us a wonderful service. And Lashana Tova.
Lashana Tova. I guess we now have to start singing Mela Yella, right? When we call into the office from now on. The other thing is that Lisa and I are both honored that this is happening, that we can invite you to our sukkah. We will bench etrog and lulav, as well as many other things, enjoying pizza, just having a chance to schmooze together. Please look at the announcements and the sheets so you know what to bring and how to bring it to come together to be with us. We conclude with the 13 articles of faith, those thoughts that Maimonides wrote that we believe in as we conclude our services. To everyone, Gemar Chatima Tova, may you be signed and sealed into the book of goodness and of life. Yigdal, page 250.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח נמסר לאלה המציאותו אחד בן יחיד כייחודו נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו אין לו תמיד הגוף ואין לו קדושתו המון לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון מן ראשית לראשיתו הינו אדון עולם לכל נוצר יורא גדולתו ומה שטפה נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו לא קם בישראל כמושעו נביא ומביט את אמונתו תורה דוד נתן לרבו היה נביאו נאמן ביתו לא יחריף האל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו צופה ויודע תתארנו מביט לסוף דבר לקדמתו קומם איש חסד כמפעלו יונן רשע רק כגישתו נשלח לקץ ימים ושירנו לבנות מחקקת ישורתו עתים יחייך ברוב חסדו ברוך הדעת שם תהילתו עתים יחייך ברוב חסדו ברוך הדעת שם תהילתו.
Rabbi, we can't hear you.
Cantor Yesher Koach, and beautiful services today. To all of us, I'd like to say a Shechianu for our reaching once again to be together, even by Zoom, on this Kol Nidre night. And let us just pause for one brief second and reflect upon all those who right now aren't able to be together with us because either they are in hospitals or because of the fact that they're unable to join together with us because Zoom is just a technology that goes far beyond where they can be. And let us just think about them in our hearts and in our prayers as we reflect upon Yom Kippur this evening in our homes. Let us open our mics and let us join together to wish each other a Gemar Tov.
Gemar Chatima Tova to everyone.
Can I just say to Stuart and Sue Miller, that was amazing. It was absolutely, that was really, really, it was fabulous.
So if you come on Shabbos morning, you'll hear them each and every Shabbos. No guilt here. It's Yom Kippur. No guilt. Just sharing.
Thank you very much. Everyone, it was a beautiful service. Beautiful service.
was.
Thank you.
Bruce, Gemar Tov, Leonard.
Cantor, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Cantor.
Thank you, Cantor.
Rabbi.
It was
Thank you, Cantor.
wonderful.
Thank
Just
you.
I liked the sermon. It was particularly meaningful and thoughtful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I felt it touched the heart.
I'm grateful. Just at the same time, to those of you who've just been recently in the hospital and are recuperating in one way or the other,